Well, everybody, we are about ready to kick off our final session of this Saturday of our first week of Virtual Spring Q. We're joined by Crystal Chavez, who is a Q member and a Q leader who helps to keep us very grounded. As we've made our way through these first couple of weeks of this global pandemic, Crystal has created the Teacher Love Tribe and is really sharing what she knows about mindfulness and trauma and those things that we are experiencing as a whole community. She has some of her friends and experts in the field joining us. She's going to take us on a journey to center us, to bring us together, to talk about some of the concerns or the way we can get through the concerns that we are going through right now. And Crystal, thank you for being here with us. I changed clothes and I have a sweatshirt on, and I love your t-shirt as well, right? Just that self-awareness and social emotional learning. And as we talk about ed tech and pedagogy, there's another really important component, not just for the student, but for the teacher and the parents and family and community too, that we are centered emotionally, or that our mental health, our emotional health, and our physical health are all in place so that we can continue to do the other learning.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's really interesting. Pam and I have been talking for a while about bringing wellness to Spring Q. This is a dream of mine really coming to fruition right now. So we're going to just take this time together to really tap into our own wellness. What lots of people probably don't know about me are assuming I'm a regular old teacher in the classroom. I've been teaching online for 7 years, working from home with my children home with me, and now I'm homeschooling them as well. So the very interesting experience that I've been having, feeling so isolated for so long, I'm now like, oh, everybody's here with me now. And the good thing is that I've learned a few things along the way because wellness is such a huge thing to me. I have really worked it into my own life to find that balance. It is so hard right now for so many people I see out there trying to figure out, wait, when does my workday end? Wait, when do I go handle those dishes? And why does everybody keep interrupting me all day long, right? Those of us who have from pets to husbands to kids at home.
When the leaf blower outside and there's
Exactly.
everything that happens in there.
Yeah. And we're all trying to, manage all of that on top of this incredible, extraordinary experience that we're all experiencing together right now. That is, kind of knocks us all off of our foundation. And we really, a lot of us are struggling just to find that safe zone, right? To feel safe and grounded with so much that is unclear right now. It's hard to get our
Crystal,
footing.
I want to jump back to, you talked about being an online teacher for some time, and you mentioned too the isolation of it and being so lonely. And so often when people hear like, oh, you work from home, there's this perception of, oh, I'd like to work from home too. That must be
Exactly.
great. And, we're
Yeah.
finding out now that working from home really, okay, there are those moments of an upside, but it is somewhat isolating, and it is hard to have that structure to a day that says, right, here's when things start, and yes, do take a shower, brush your teeth, and take care of that personal hygiene
Yeah,
before
exactly.
you jump into the workday, just like you would if you were going to work, and then bringing the day to a close and connecting with your family and being intentional about putting that in place. You have so much wisdom to offer us.
Yeah, it definitely has been like this, right? For me too. I really have been trying. The connection that I'm seeing right away that has been very clear is that video, right? You guys
Mm-hmm.
talked about the nonverbal earlier, I think, with Ben. That video connection is key. I've been doing things like Marco Polo, videoing with friends during as soon as I found out about it, I was like, this is perfect. It makes me feel like I'm with my friends, right? It's not just going right next door to your partner teacher and saying hi. I can't do that. So my Q community has been where I've made those connections, and visiting the affiliate events on weekends and being part of all that has been, I mean, even just on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
even through social media, has kept me so connected. And so I love that people immediately who never Zoomed before, who never got on Google Hangouts, are now including not just their students, but their families, right? I immediately said, you know what, I'm teaching my family to Zoom right now. And grandma and grandpa were sure excited to see the kids last Sunday when I said, we're doing a family Zoom. Just that connection and that ability to see faces, though we're not right next to each other, still offers so much comfort to all of us, right? Not just the kids. It's not just for the kids, guys. This whole hour is about us. And that's what I'm so excited when Pam texted me earlier this week.
And you did give the best response of anybody I have been in touch with, as we did this very quick pivot to a virtual event and looking at, what is being called for as a real need right now, and that mindfulness. And Crystal, I'm going to share two of the things that we shared. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So,
yeah,
first and foremost is that, it's during times like this where we really need to come together. We have our different responses. And as I reached out to Crystal and said that, Crystal, your experience, your knowledge is just so critical. And let's share this with everybody else by text. And the response was, hell yeah, with several exclamation marks, and went, that's wonderful. Is it okay if I call you? Because I know she has children at home. Sure,
yes.
give me about 10 minutes. And Crystal asked me the question. I'm going to share this. She says, how are you doing, Pam? I said, much better than I was earlier today. And she said, oh, are you drinking too?
I'm a teacher, right?
And I did have a glass of wine in my hand at the time because it was after the workday. But right now, we're finding that we're kind of working around the clock as we look to support educators, across time zones and meet folks, in a place where our young parents can have balance between, I need to put my children to bed, but I also am still preparing lessons for my students and figuring this out, learning on the fly. It's like being a first-year teacher again. And then now I need to take care of myself as well.
Yes, you just hit on a very key point. You're a first-year teacher again. Mm-hmm. Once you can swallow that and let's take a minute. You are literally a first-year teacher again. You're also a first-year homeschool teacher again for those parents homeschooling their children. This year is when I went through that transition, homeschooling my first grader and TKer. Mm-hmm. As amazing as you might be in your classroom, which is what I said, watch what I'm going to do to my husband, right? Watch what I'm going to do with the kids. We are going to have so much learning going on all day and exploration and, this big of a dream of what I was really going to do with the kids turned into, in reality, I have 20 minutes right now. Let's play a math game, right? I know what that lesson is. However, it's going to be broken up across the day into 3 different spots, and he might not get to write something on paper that day. I'm in the car driving to the doctor's appointment, and I have some music playing that is helping my little one learn the days of the week or his sounds. So really understanding that shift and embracing and being okay with that. It's a hard pill to swallow at first, hard, because your expectations for yourself are so huge. And then you go, whoa, this is totally different. Mm-hmm. So that is probably the number one message that I want everyone to get today, is that you are brand new. Write down all the things you're brand new at. And then just be open to learning one thing every day, right? Okay, this is what I did well today, right? Just like we reflected back in the day at the beginning when we had our, student teaching and and our mentors would ask, what went well today? And so just find that one thing, because you can beat yourself up about all the different things. And I'll talk in just a minute about some of those kind of mind shifts that I did. But I really would love to start us off with a little more Zen, right? I joke, I'm a little Zen and I'm a little bit rock and roll.
I'm with you, sister.
Probably already figured out there with Pam's So comments that I thought you would keep to yourself. Um, so we will start off with my instructor for yoga ed certification. I did this 3 years ago with Kate Beckel. She is an amazing mindfulness and yoga instructor. She's a trainer for yoga ed, as well as she does some great work with prison yoga program as well. I'll let her introduce herself, but she's going to really be our guide through some self-care and that mindfulness, and really just slowing us down. And she'll take us through a little exercise that I think is going to bring a lot of peace to a lot of people right now. So Kate, can you join us?
Oh, thank you, Kate.
Hello. Hi, Crystal. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, I am new to the online teaching, so I am embracing my first year as an online teacher, but I have been teaching third grade here in San Diego for the last 4 years, and I taught second grade and first grade before that. But as Crystal had mentioned, I also teach yoga ed, which is tools and practices for anyone who's working with children and teens to bring well-being in any form to the classroom or to wherever it is that they're working with students, social workers, and doctors. Or like she also mentioned, we do this work in prisons and jails here and at the detention facility working with youth.
What a gift of service, Kate.
So I thought I would talk a little bit, you know, when I was thinking about this today, about what would be, what might be helpful to share with you. When I think about self-care, the first part of it is really self-awareness. And Crystal mentioned she's doing a lot of social emotional learning with you all already. So you're probably aware that that's one of the pillars of SEL. But just a refresher, self-awareness is just that ability to be able to recognize one's own emotions and thoughts and values, and how that influences behavior throughout the day. So that would be getting really well versed in, as a teacher or as a mom or as just a human being, just knowing what are some things that start to you know, bring the energy up a little bit, or start to just sort of change the way you're engaging with the world around you, so that when that starts to happen, you then know, okay, it's time to start some of these resources and some of these tools that I have. So I would, one thing I love to do when I'm facilitating trainings is to suggest that people start a list of resources, things that they know, just help you feel a little bit more like yourself. So that could be a ring, it could be a song, it could be, you know, a memory, it could be a picture of someone or something. They can be a whole range of things. Just starting to really know for yourself what's something that you can go to that helps you sort of bring it down a little. Excuse me. And I love the fact that it can be something as simple as a piece of jewelry or a memory, because it's something that you might have with you always. And for educators specifically, it's such a high demanding job. And it sounds like at home it becomes even, you know, you got now all of these things happening. So I really want to invite people to start to think about taking self-care breaks throughout the day. Someone that I was listening to the other day was calling it self-care plus, thinking it like, not, so how do we take care of ourselves throughout the day, so it's not like then at the end of the week suddenly we need to go on a whole retreat so that we can manage
Because we
all
didn't
of
take
our
breaks
stress.
throughout the week.
You know, it's like, you know, even throughout the day. So I wanted to just share with you a couple of things that are real quick and easy ways to explore resourcing or bringing yourself a little bit more back to the present. One thing that I like to do on my own, but I also certainly share it with my students as well, is a breath called sounding breath. So I thought I wanted to give you guys some things you can use. So if you'd like to, you can sit up tall, in your chair or standing, wherever you are. And feel your feet on the floor. So one thing that we know that can happen is energy can like start to quickly leave the bottom of, or like the bottom half of your body. So just bringing your attention to your feet, to your legs, to your seat. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can if you'd like, or you might let your eyes lower just a little bit. And then still with the awareness of your legs on the ground, your feet on the floor, what we'll do is I'll tell you first, and then you can do it on your own with me. In a moment, you'll imagine your hands are like those big headphones, and you'll take them over your ears. And then you'll just listen to yourself take 3 slow, steady breaths. You don't have to rush, don't have to do any special breathing. You're just closing off sort of the exterior world and giving yourself a moment to check in and listen to the sound of your breath. And if you'd like to, you can think about what does that sound remind you of, or how does that feel, just to be taking a moment to listen to your breath. So whenever you're ready, you can take your hands up like headphones, place them over your ears, 3 breaths. How was?
And I added one long, deep breath to follow that.
Yeah. So you can feel it, or I hope that you've felt some shift from that, just taking a moment to just practice this self-awareness. And it's such a good thing to do. It strengthens the parts of the brain associated with attention, decision-making, emotional stability, empathy. So that's with sounding breath. And that's one thing that I will do for myself, but I will also share with my class. I was trying to think, mindfulness for educators, and I was sort of having a hard time thinking about it because I'm really such a believer in sprinkling it throughout the day. And that happens while I'm with students. And if I'm being honest with them about like, whoa, like it's gotten really loud, or like, whoa, we are doing so much and I'm feeling myself like this, I'm thinking I need to take a moment and do this breath because of these reasons. If you want to try it with me, let's see what happens. So while you're taking care of yourself, you're also taking care of the students who are probably resonating with you, feeling that energy. And you're teaching them that that's something that they can do when they're feeling it as well. Should I stop there, or I can continue to talk however you would? I don't want to take up all of the time.
I would love.
I had another practice that I wanted to share, but
yeah, the
yeah?
5, 4, 3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Yeah. So that sounding breath is a practice of sort of drawing the attention inward. But I also wanted to share another practice that's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is a different kind of practice. And this is a little bit more sort of orienting to the space around you. Or my intention in this is that you'll see there's a couple of different tools that you can use depending on whatever is needed. So intention is important when you're choosing a mindfulness activity, right? You can think about, do I want to feel, do I need to take a break inside, or do I need to feel more like I'm grounded and in my present space? So this second one is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we can do it seated, you can do it standing, you can do it when you're going for a walk. Seeing as how we're doing this conference, we'll just do it seated. But if you'd like to stand up, you can also stand. And the way it works is this: you'll just take a moment to look around your space. And the first thing you'll notice is what are 5 things that you can see? And you just name them inside your head. Just looking for 5 things. And you might even turn around and look behind you. And then after you have found 5 objects that you can see. Then you'll notice 4 things that you can hear. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear. For number 3, 3 things that you can smell. Yep. Some hand sanitizer on your hands that you can smell. Or a plant near you, or maybe just something cooking at home. To now some 3 things that you can feel. So that might be your pants, the chair that you're in. Again, it might be feet on the floor. Just things that you can feel now. And then the final one is just bringing into mind one either good or neutral thing about yourself. So it could be, I love to watch movies. It could be, I did a really great job on my math test yesterday, or I am loving opinion writing, or just that dogs are my favorite animal. Either a good thing or a neutral thing about yourself. And then when you've gotten that, bringing your attention again to your feet, to your seat. One more time, you might look around the space that you're in. Just getting a sense of like, okay, I'm here. And you might take a breath in through your nose. And when you're ready, out through your mouth. Of orienting, and it doesn't really matter the number of things. It's sort of like a cute, catchy way to remember, but it's really not so much about doing those things. It's a practice of like creating a sense of orienting to the present space. So bringing your mind to the here and now.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kate, for joining us. I just wanted to add that, like, I asked the panel of friends that I have here today this morning. So I just want to thank you for jumping in. I feel like we all have gifts, right? All of us have gifts to share. And I didn't want to do this alone. And I didn't think I should do it alone, because really what this is, I hope teaching all of us right now, is that we all need to lean on each other. We're here together experiencing the same thing, not just now that we're all quarantined. We've all been here together the whole time. And so a friend of mine, Tisha Bernard, is going to speak next. And she is an expert in trauma. Tisha goes to schools who have been victims of school shootings. She does a lot of work with that trauma. And I really want her to speak to that today, so that we can all recognize kind of the space that we're in right now. and that it's okay. And I love that she's out in nature right now,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so fitting. I tried to be in nature with a fake background,
It's
but
very
that's such
calming,
a,
Crystal.
yeah, thanks. I was like, this or the beach. So I really am so thankful that Tisha could join us. She literally was like, I'm on the way up a mountain. I don't know what my connectivity is going to be, but I will drive back down the mountain to make this happen. So she's been in schools working with our students and teachers for the past decade, really, leaning into this. So I'm so happy that you're here to join us, Tisha. So go ahead and give us your wisdom.
Thank you, Crystal. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, being in this together looks many different ways, right? So, I had my own experience in coming up here and like, okay, I'm going to find Wi-Fi to get here. And then there's no Wi-Fi. So finding someone with a hotspot and running around. And then somebody asked, well, what class are you teaching? I'm like, I'm teaching on how to calm down. And then I had a whole moment of like, wait a second. I need to go into that place. And I think that's the perfect reflection from what you already said. And then the previous speaker is how we need to come back to us. And it only takes a couple seconds, right? And so I think it's really important that we are having the conversation around trauma and looking at what that really means and letting that be what it is. And so trauma can look different for anybody, and it's important that all experiences are absolutely validated. So, right, so for a young person, their trauma can come from being called names on the schoolyard, where somebody's trauma can be a car accident. And so it's really important at this time that when we hear that word, we honor that for ourselves, but we also honor it for however that shows up in somebody else's life. In that, I'm also inviting people to acknowledge that word, yet also start to replace it with other vocabulary. So we first want to name it, right? We're in a traumatic place in time, yet we can also claim it as we are in a time of transformation. We are in a time of expansive possibilities. We are in a time of sadness. It all contributes to the bigger picture, but how do we want to have our own narrative around that? How do we want to have our own conversations? Can you still hear me? Crystal? Yeah. Okay. Let me just know, because it says it's unstable. Some place for us to start as well is acknowledging, yes, it's happening, but how can we also change the conversation? So then there's something I also work with the students is name it, but don't claim it. So it acknowledging our feelings. So what I work with them is that there's the feeling of I'm scared. So I ask them we acknowledge that, but then we change the language to I'm experiencing sadness right now. And what that literally does is it literally calms the whole nervous system, because then you become in control. So not I'm sadness, but I'm experiencing this emotion in this time. And that will literally slow down the heart rate. It will slow down this whole nervous system so that from there you're in control and you can move forward. Yet what we're also going to be needing to do at this time is find that place to also be in experiencing the sadness. I think what big thing that's happening right now also is that we are forced to slow down and we are forced to have feelings. And how are we going to be with them instead of trying to shut them down and move on and move forward? So one thing I would invite everybody to do when you are in a place of feeling overwhelmed is to literally put your left hand on this part of your stomach and your right hand on your heart. And then you have that conversation with yourself, right? So if you all want to join me with that. And that conversation is, in this moment, I am safe. In this moment,
in this moment, I am safe.
in this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I am in control.
In this moment, I am in control.
In this moment, I have compassion for all that I am feeling.
In this moment, I have compassion for all that I am feeling.
This becomes your grounded, sacred space. This also is connected directly to your vagus nervous system, which is also speaking to not only yourself, but your body, and letting your body know in this moment we are safe. Technically, in this moment, I am safe. Now, when I go back out into the world where I was an educator and I no longer have a job, that's a whole nother story. But that's over there in a couple hours from now. In this exact moment, I have control over who my experience in this moment. And that alone will put you in that space where then you move forward to the next step. At this time, we cannot take on the big picture. We cannot take on it all. We have to start small. With the students right now, it's okay to be there with them. It's okay to have that check-in and say, I'm feeling overwhelmed today. Like, how are you feeling? How do we need to check in so we both move forward in a peaceful way? That's okay, right? Like I shared earlier, I had my experience with the internet. How am I going to get on? Then how am I going to like work with the people, right? So this is the first time everyone is experiencing this. And how are you going to let that be okay? How are you going to say, you know what? Once a kids, teachers are constantly in this heroic position for showing up for students in so many ways. And now teachers again are in the space of like, now I'm going to take it to the next level and overnight learn this entirely new way of teaching and show it for my students again. So where in those moments can you stop and say, wow, I am doing the best that I can. Wow, I am like an absolutely amazing person who is going to do and learn what I can to show up for my students. And take those moments to pause. So I get really excited about this. So I'm going to take a moment to pause and just offer, a couple other things, because what happens is when this vagus nervous system gets triggered, we literally compartmentalize to where the oxygen isn't going to the brain, the heart is beating fast, and there's absolutely no learning that can take place on either end. So if we're racing from this crazy place of like, the internet's not working, did I do the graphics right? Then we as a facilitator are not in our place of peace. So how are we going to transfer that on to working with the youth? So what happens if we say, you know what, we really are learning this together. This is the trouble with this. So this is just where I'm at in this moment, and then bring some laughter into it, bring some humor into it. All of that is important right now. Play with it, have fun with it. Because we're talking about so much about this is such a crucial time for us to come together. And the thing is, yes, it is, but we should have already been together, right? So if we need to come back to that, and we need to bring that forth in so many ways. So a couple of things that I want to offer is a reflection on what teachers already know. So I'm not going to bring any new profound skills. I'm going to reflect back to you what you already know is your truth. And one, are you playing right now? Are you having fun? Or are you taking everything so seriously? We know as educators that one of the best ways to learn is playing. So if your children have some Legos in the house, when they go to sleep, you need to be building some castles. You need to be doing something with those Legos. Like, how are you playing? How are you finding time to have a creative expression and let that out? Dance. Can you please dance? Can you please move? Can you please? state.
Oh, the
I know
music.
sometimes for music, please, favorite song, shake it out. Because I know sometimes too that the breath is absolutely very important, but sometimes we're in such a heightened state and such a paralyzed place that the breath can take someone there just a little bit more. This is when you both get up with your students and you're like, you know what, quick, 20-second shake break. And you're both are like, okay, all right, let's get back to math.
And we can do this during the day too, just for ourselves right now, right? It's with our students, but as we're experiencing this, you're stopping for a moment going, gosh, I can have music in the background. I can dance with the dog. I will say I do dance with my dog. During the day, we take breaks like that. And that's so important to remember to do that.
And think about these things. They take 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part. It doesn't have to be the whole song. It doesn't have to be out to the gym. What can you do in 10 seconds
Yes.
that will change your entire day? Laugh, do some jokes with your students before you even start teaching. Find something that makes you laugh, something fun, something funny. And then the other thing I wrote is write. We all need that right now, because what's happening is we are going to be all on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to forget to take that pen to paper and spend 1 minute when you are too much up here of free writing. I am experiencing sadness. This is really hard times. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. What's going to happen to the world? What's going to happen? And you set that timer, and when that time is up, then you rip it, and then you crumple it, and then you release it and you let it go. 1 minute will change the day. 1 minute. And so I'm reflecting back things that you already know as educators, but because you're so in that nervous place of how am I going to do all this, you're probably not remembering to tap into, wait, this is why I'm a teacher, because
Mm-hmm.
I know things and I know the simple things that will change someone's day. Right? So I want to reflect back to you all the things that you already know. And my last one is, please go outside. We are told right now, also open the door and you can take a deep breath. And we need to not stay confined right now. So if you look right now, what's being added to the DSM in for mental health right now, they will be adding nature deficiency as a mental health challenge, because we are losing that connection. So last final thing is, please open that door and take some deep breaths, and don't underestimate those pauses also. So I'm going to stop.
So you see why I brought my friends, everyone? I love my friends so much. So thank you for doing this. I want to run up the mountain and be with you, Tisha. Thank you so much.
Hey, Crystal.
So here's the thing, really, like everything she said, like those are the ways that I have to keep saying during the day, like for real, like this is, like in such a, like I have to take 5 minutes to do things because that's possibly all that I have, right? And so really understanding that, like your day, you know, boundaries are important, and having a stopping working time. Luckily, I have an office. I close the doors. Some days I know I have to go back in after the kids fall asleep because I took half the morning to do things with them. That's where my time went. There's things that you can do once the kids go to bed. So think of it as like half day, right? I'm going to do some work during the day live, maybe in synchronous sessions with my students, but I'm creating that stuff way later. And then, you know, another 6-7 hours of the day, you're with your family. You're doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself. Now, obviously, some of us have gyms closed. I never felt comfortable because my kids have a lot of allergies, and my son's hands are always cracked and from his eczema. So I didn't feel comfortable to take him to a gym, to put him in that little daycare area, because every time I tried to put him in a daycare, he would break out like crazy. So for me, that was like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't go anywhere. That trapped me. It felt like it did even more. So like, even though I could before go do these things, I've kind of been quarantined this whole time for other reasons. And so those things where it's, you're going to walk, they're going to ride their bikes. You're going to, I jump on the jumper with them.
Yay,
So
you.
I get my play in when I can. And so, there's just those little things, those little times, you're going to feel connected. All of the beautiful things that they've shared with us really get us in, like, out of our heads and back grounded kind of into our foundation where we're present. That is so important right now, because with all that uncertainty, we can get lofty, right? We can get this, gosh, I always want to say it's like pregnancy brain.
The gentleman might not relate to that.
They might not relate, but in this time we get like with these levels of stress, you get foggy, and give yourself grace. Like I noticed something. We have our friends that need to completely slow down right now, and we have our friends who are putting output like crazy. That's because their creativeness and their outlet for this energy is in that creativity. So they've created these crazy resources for all of us. And I think some of the others that need to slow down are like, don't tell me I have to do all of that. But they didn't intend that to be the message. But some of us who were like, I need to slow down, looked and went, you're telling me I have to do all of that right now? And that might be some of our bosses. That might be our district. Hey, if that's you.
Or it might be us doing it to ourselves.
And yeah, and that's what I mean, right? Like that piece of recognizing, like, we are all going to have needs at different times of where our output and input is. Like, I had to shut off the computer, threw my phone down, and I was like, I can't look at another, like, I can't scroll anymore. I can't do it, right? Like, I just, it was overwhelming. And like that piece right there, I think, is now this new stress we just all created. Like, okay, we have to do something new. And now it's like, look at these big lists, and this is what you have to do from 7 a.m. until 5. Like,
and pick what's really most important.
Well, that's what my tip is going to be. So one of the things that was transformational for me was really learning how to think in another way. So SMART goals are great, but MTO goals are better. So minimum, target, outrageous. Okay, now this is going to help us hone in on priorities. Okay, what is the minimum amount of exercise that I'm going to do today? What's the minimum amount of, lessons that I'm going to put together today? What's the minimum amount? Okay, so you get that as like your essential, like, must do, right? I have to do this. Now let's layer on a target goal. What would be nice? I'll just take exercise for now, and getting outside. I would like to get out a minimum of 3 times, Monday through Friday, for a walk this week with the boys. 3 times. My target is 5. I would love to just make that a daily habit for myself. My outrageous is 7. Or I could go a whole other way with it. I want to get outside in the backyard for 10 minutes, 3 days a week. My target is 30 minutes. My outrageous is we're bike riding every day around the neighborhood. So you can adjust it to, what you feel is the most important, but really, really just bring it down to simple, right? So that's with our to-do lists. But something for yourself, something that made it simple for me as well, was 3 things. And I've said this before: body, mind, soul, right? Mm-hmm. Keeping one tiny thing for that. I have issues with my shoulders, so my exercise game isn't so hot right now. So stretching is literally what I need to do. And if you guys haven't stressed, like, you're holding your stress in your shoulders, you're going to end up like me, like this, with like tons of tightness in here, and leads to arthritis and not fun stuff. So literally just opening up, like standing in a doorway and stretching that out. That's my thing that I do for my body every day, right? Like, just giving a little stretch here. That's all I can do right now. I can't do big exercise, but I can stretch. So I've done something for my body. Check. Then what have I done for my mind? Okay, not scrolling. That's not good input. I've said this before as well. When you are filling your cup, watch what you're filling it with.
Good
Don't
point.
use the dirty dish water. Make sure that you are filling it with a book, right? Digital or analog, either way. A good podcast, something uplifting. Be super intentional with what you're filling your mind with in your space of I'm filling my mind with something good right now. And then your soul. We all have to attend to our spiritual side. We're not going to go with religion right now, even though we are not at school. However, I'm going to tell you something right now. The last person that's here that's going to join our panel discussion is my energy and life coach, Jen Paulsen, who helps me on a conscious and a subconscious level. And to really dive deep and do some work on my own self-awareness and self-management and some blocks and, just different things through my life that I, want to reach the next level on. And right now, literally, I leaned on all of these people just to be able to do this today. And that's, I think, what is the biggest thing I want you all to take from this is that just lean on your friends and let them lean on you, and then tell them I can't when you can't. I can't right now. And be okay with it, because I think everybody understands that right now in a way that hasn't been so apparent before, right? It's almost like a veil has been lifted and we're looking at things. I haven't been afraid to call someone on the phone versus texting them before I call them. What? Let me tell you something. In my virtual world of classes, more students are putting their cameras on, more teachers are putting their cameras on in our meetings. It's people want to connect. So let's give ourselves permission to do that and lean on each other through this time. With that, we have 5 minutes left. We can field some questions, and I'd love, Jen, if you want to turn your camera on and just share with us. Actually, you know what, Jen, I'm going to ask you if you can close us out.
And Crystal, I have a question for you before we do that. And then I understand that Ben and Sylvia might join us to close out. What have we heard from that, John?
Ben said he's jumping in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I think Sylvia will
Awesome.
be as well.
So in about 5 minutes, they're going to jump in. And before we start this transition, you've put together the Teacher Love Tribe.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of what you're talking about here today, I think, resonates right around that. And I think we have part of your Teacher Love Tribe with us.
Yes, you all are right
on
now.
screen and on Facebook, on Twitter. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And where as educators and parents and whoever we are can find the Teacher Love Tribe and connect?
I think my main space that I'm always on with the Teacher Love Tribe is going to be Twitter. I will just put it out there with the hashtag, and I literally will either do a spontaneous Zoom and just say, hey, tribe, let's get together. And I might have a tip or two, a little exercise for us to do for that time, but then just sharing together and processing together. And then, I'm looking at some days. It was so funny because when we were a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, I was saying, what's a good day? Weekdays or weekends for us to meet consistently. And now, how about lunch? I don't know, 3:00 on Tuesday, 10:00 on Monday. We literally have a lot more flexibility now. So I will be putting in 1 day a week that is static. For now, definitely through this time. But then there'll be others, kind of out there as check-ins. So just follow Teacher Love Tribe and me on Twitter. That's the best bet to find our connection.
So just go to the hashtag. So when we get on Twitter, we go in the search bar, hashtag Teacher Love Tribe, and search, and we will find both the most popular posts. We know that, but I often enjoy going through the latest, right? And being able to follow, being able to follow the whole stream of conversation.
Yes, and I had so many stickers for Spring Q with Teacher Love Tribe and some nature and some hearts. Oh, I can't wait to get them sent out. So if you guys want some swag, let me know.
I'm all about the sticker.
I have a few stamps. We'll see if I make it into the post office. Yay, Ben's here. So I would love, I'm going to tell you, Jen definitely, Paulsen helps me get connected in so many ways. And so I just want to introduce her, give her a moment to kind of tell you what she does. And then she'll kind of close us out. Do you think, Jen, that you can do that for us? Okay, go ahead. Unmute your mic.
And Ben,
That would
thank you
help.
so much for joining us for the close, because with any luck, we'll have Sylvia in here too. We'll have you and Sylvia and Crystal to come to a really mindful close that brings us all connected today, both visually as we see each other face to face and have these conversations, but also in our hearts as we bring virtual Spring Q Day 2 to a close.
Thanks for letting me spend a few minutes with you guys. I can feel like just the feeling of this group, or the energy of the group, is really high, and it's I can feel that you guys are coming from a place from your hearts, which is so powerful. And I think that is so important during this time where everybody's kind of like in this chaotic mode, and it's easy to get sucked into it. We think we as leaders need to be in that space where we are grounded and we're coming from our hearts, not from our primitive brain amygdalas like firing off like crazy. And I think just my message really quick is just really when you were talking, Crystal, the word transition just kept popping out at me. And that was like just writing down some notes here and just recognizing that, we can all like create a transition that is peaceful and that is in flow instead of struggle. Because you'll hear a lot of people describe, oh, it's so hard, and this is just so, bad things are coming. And we just want to get rid of that mentality. We want to get that language like just totally out of our vocabulary. And so that we as leaders are coming from a place of hope. And hey, what are the possibilities? What are the options? Good things can be happening for us during this time. My one thought, I want to just share with you kind of my little trick that I use when I'm starting to feel anxious. And that is like, there's a moment that you can tune in to right before your like primitive brain starts to go into fight or flight, right? That you have that second where your body feels tense, or you feel like that emotion rising. That is the moment that you want to take advantage of. And you want to stop in that moment right there before you respond. You want to take a breath. You want to put your hand on your heart right here, because what happens is it stimulates the oxytocin in the brain. And that oxytocin are the feel good chemicals that will help calm you down, keep you present. And then before you respond, or maybe you've gotten to that point where you're in like judgment, or you're in a spiral thought, the thing that can get you out of that so quick is just saying, okay, I forgive myself. So many times we're like, oh, I shouldn't think that, or I shouldn't have said that, or like just saying to yourself, I forgive myself. And then you've got to teach your brain what to do instead of the spiral. And you teach it by saying, I choose love. Okay, so our brain just needs to know what to do instead of freak out. Okay. So if you would like, I wrote down some affirmations that I just felt like were just kind of intuitively came to me. So if you guys want to just have your hands on your heart and breathe, I'm just going to like connect you to these affirmations so that that these can be a part of the way that you lead and teach and just live your life on a daily basis. Okay, so I am safe.
I am safe.
I feel good, and I'm worthy to feel good. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am connected to fun. I am connected to love and compassion. I am creative. I am letting things be easy. I am connected to all the options and opportunities. Then the last one is, I am fully supported. So just take a nice big breath. Breathe those in and just let that be a foundation for you to move forward in all the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you. Let's be in that stillness with one another. Keep watching as we share some calming time as we end the day. We look forward to seeing those of you that are registered for the full virtual Spring Q event inside the app as we bring our sessions to you this coming week. Next weekend, we will have some more featured speakers, which will go live on Facebook just like this weekend. And in 2 weeks, we're going to close out with Ken Shelton as our final keynote with a lot of content in between. On weekends, there'll be some material that's for free and streamed. But for those of you who are participating in Spring Q, who had planned to come to Palm Springs or who have joined us for the virtual event in the app, we have special content throughout the week.